This is Role Play 2, Crazy Brave by Joy Hado. The setting is the social worker's office.
Thank you guys for making it into my office. I really appreciate your time and coming down to see me today. My name is Joy Monte. I'm the social worker that has been assigned to your case. If you guys could just take a minute and introduce yourself, and please let me know how you would like me to address you.
And you can address me by Mr. Johnson.
Okay?
And I'm Wainima, and I go by Wainima.
Thank you.
I'm Joy, and I also go by Joy.
I'm Gabe, and I go by Gabe.
Okay. Okay, so today the purpose of this visit is to kind of assess your family. I know we talked a little bit last week, and we addressed that, there's a current investigation going on by CPS, and they assigned a social worker to kind of assess your family and see what resources we can make available to you and areas that maybe that you might need some help with.
Can I say, I don't get why we have to be here, because I know the situation took a place outside the family, so I don't get why you have to include the family here today.
Okay.
Is that a fair question?
No, it's a perfectly reasonable question, Mr. Johnson, and if I could just kind of relate it to you, maybe to make it have better sense. An example is you're a painter. We discussed that last week, and just as you're a painter and you have different paintbrushes for different jobs, for example, you have a big roller to get the big walls and a little brush to, do border work and the detail work, and maybe a sponge to get some accent walls going. So we kind of do that with your family. You gotta think of your family all as paintbrushes, and that together they may have specific things that they can, give to your family, or different attributes that are really important for them, and it helps them to be the best that they are. And my job is to assess that and to see what areas you work really well in and how it helps to create your family to be the best that they can be. Does that help you understand a little bit, Mr. Johnson?
Okay.
Okay, do you all understand that the objective of the assessment is just to kind of give an overall picture of how your family's doing and what the dynamics look like?
Yes.
Okay. Before we jump into the assessment, I do want to go over the confidentiality rules that we kind of went over last week. Here in my office, it's the same rules. This is a safe place to talk, and that everything that you say will be private and confidential in this office. There is an exception to that, and that is in the concerns of safety. If you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, or that someone is going to hurt you, or that you may become a danger to yourself, I will have to report that to my supervisor. Does everybody understand those rules?
Yes.
Okay, great. Some of the guidelines that I'd like to establish early on, I do it with all my families, is that we might not all have the same views, but we need to respect and value the opinion of everybody. So with that, everybody will be given the same opportunity to speak, and I ask that you just don't interrupt anybody, and that, even if it's something you don't agree with, that we try to hold space for that person. Does everybody understand those guidelines?
Yes.
Okay. And then one last thing I'd like to say is that I like to speak to every individual person in the family, so I will give everybody the opportunity to talk and kind of come from your point of view. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so getting into this, is there any questions that you have for me before we jump into the assessment? No? Okay. So I'd like to start off a little bit by identifying your family. So, Winona, can you tell me your family members?
Yes. So it includes my husband, my daughter Joy, my son Gabriel, and my little one. And I have an additional little boy, but he's in at the after-school program right now.
Okay. And what about grandparents or aunts and uncles, or outside family members that may contribute to your family?
We have extended family, but there's not much connection there, or communication amongst them.
Okay. And is that for both sides of the family?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the language spoken primarily at home?
We speak English at home.
Okay. And does that go for the rest of the family as well?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me, is there any cultural background that may be pertinent to your family?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Well, I'm a Cherokee, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we're just, my culture is very important to me, to my indigenous people. We're very connected. We're connected to nature, the dancing, the singing, the storytelling.
Right,
And
that's
not
I don't know if that stuff
done.
matters though.
Again, Mr. Johnson, we're going to remember the guidelines that we established earlier. These are Joy's views. Winona's views, and we need to give her time to say her piece. But I appreciate you letting me know that that maybe you didn't quite agree with what she was saying. And I'll give the chance for you to come back to that. Okay? Thank you. I'm sorry, Winona. Go ahead.
Just that was very important for myself, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do that anymore.
Okay, I understand. And what about you, Joy? Do you feel culturally connected as well with your native background?
I'd say yes, but also very traditional.
Okay. And let me ask about any previous marriages that you might have.
This is my first marriage.
Okay.
This is my second marriage.
Okay. So, Mr. Johnson, you are the stepfather to all four of Winona's children?
Yes.
Okay. That must be very difficult for you to assume the responsibilities. Tell me a little bit about how that has been for you.
I had its challenges, but I guess just trying to provide and trying to be a strong man to this family can be a challenge sometimes. I feel like I don't get respect like I should sometimes, but they're young, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, we can assess that a little bit further and jump a little bit deeper into that. I appreciate your input on that. Gabe, do you have the opportunity to see your dad?
No.
Okay. What about you, Joy? Is your father in your life as well? No? Okay, so is the father just not, okay?
No, he's not around.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how the family works together. So can you tell me a little bit about the functioning of your family?
Well, I'm a painter, like you said, and so I try to pay the bills, and my wife, she also works a full-time job, like she should. And we usually have the kids do their daily chores, whatever needs to be done, cleaning or dishwashing, whatever needs to be done.
Okay, so what I'm gathering from what you're telling me is that you're primarily the provider for the family, and then Winona, along with the children, are responsible for the household duties and the maintenance and taking care of the family.
Sounds about right.
Does just to clarify as well, does that mean that you provide 100% of the financial means for the family?
No.
Oh, okay. Can you explain that to me, please, Winona?
Yes. So my ex-husband is not around, and he hasn't been around for a while. We haven't been able to locate him, so he does not pay child support.
Okay.
And I pay half the mortgage, and because the children are my children, I pay all the utilities, buy the groceries, provide for their clothes. And so in order to afford that, I do have to work a little bit more than my 8-hour shift. Most of the time I pick up extra hours, so I work a lot
Oh,
to make ends meet.
you must be very tired.
Most of the
You
time,
work
yes.
very hard, but that's a very strong quality, so I appreciate you sharing that with me. Joy, what are your responsibilities when it comes to the family?
I do what I'm supposed to do, such as house chores. I go to school.
Okay. Okay. And what about you, Gabe?
I do a lot of the maintenance in the house. I kind of take care of some of the littler
The
ones.
littler ones.
And I feel like that's what I've had to step up to do. I know that Joy helped me a lot, and helped like watch us for a while, but that's kind of become my chore, is to make sure everyone's kind of taken care of.
Well, you seem to be doing a phenomenal job. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me ask you a question. If there was to be a crisis or something, an emergency happened in the family, can you kind of tell me a little bit about how your family would communicate that to each other?
I don't know. The kids talk to their mom. I don't know. Like, and if it's that important, she'll tell me.
Okay. So the kids normally direct
Yes.
any crisis to you?
Yes, I'm the primary contact.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about safety in the family. Joy, do you feel safe in your family?
Yeah, I'd say feel pretty safe.
Okay. And what about you, Gabe? Do you feel safe in your family?
I think that it depends. I feel like some days when like everyone's
He
I'm
does.
sorry, Mr. Johnson.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, there's no reason why they shouldn't feel safe in this house.
I understand. You know, you're the head of the household, and you would really like to express your opinion, but at the same time, we need to respect that Gabe has something to say. So if we could just reserve your opinion for possibly
He's just
after.
a kid. Okay.
I just feel like sometimes when like my mom and my stepdad have worked like really long shifts, it's kind of like eggshells and like high tension in the
Okay.
house.
Oh, can you explain to me what you mean by eggshells?
It's just when they're really tired and like they work a lot and they do get tired, and that's understandable. They're doing a lot for us. It's just that if certain like chores aren't done on a certain time, it seems like it becomes a bigger deal on the days that they've had longer shifts.
Okay. So I know we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit here. So, Mr. Johnson, would you say that sometimes you come home from work a little bit tired?
I think that's fair to say.
So maybe just an example of something that we can look into and to give you a better idea of the things that we're looking at as far as the assessment goes, maybe we can address, you know, some of the areas in which we can help you so that you wouldn't be tired. You know, maybe we can take a look at some of the financial situations that you have going on that maybe will give you the ability to work less hours. So that way you won't have to feel so tired when you come home. So that's kind of the things that I'm talking about when we talk about resources for the family. So again, this is just to you know, support the idea that everybody's viewpoint is super important, because now that I have a better understanding of, you know, Gabe mentioning that you're tired, I'm able to understand that maybe possibly that's something we need to look at as far as the needs of the family. So do you kind of understand, Mr. Johnson, why it's important to hear everybody's viewpoint?
I guess, yeah, a little.
Okay, thank you. When we talk about connectedness, Joy, can you tell me who you feel most connected to?
I would say my siblings,
Your siblings?
my
Okay.
mom.
And Gabe, who do you feel most connected to?
I feel really connected to Joy and my younger siblings. I also feel very connected to my mom.
Okay. And Winona, who do you feel most connected to in your family?
Nobody. Nobody.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about
Yes. I work so much. I'm always tired. I work. I sleep a lot. I don't have any friends. I don't have nobody to really talk to without being judged.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that you're just kind of feel a little bit alone in your family, and that it's hard for you to connect with anybody.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. I think that's something that we can definitely work on. Does anybody else share those same feelings? What about you, Mr. Johnson? Who are you most connected to?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. Guess maybe certain friends at work, but other than that, I just feel like I came to this family to help, and like there wasn't like a father figure, and I came to this family. I feel like I don't get the respect I deserve sometimes, and I feel like they don't like me. I don't know. I feel like there's a disconnection.
So you feel like there's a disconnectedness. So maybe that's some of the goals that we need to work on is, reestablishing some relationships within the family. That sounds like reasonable goal to set. Thank you for sharing that with me. It's not an easy thing to admit that, there's some disconnection going on, but it happens within every family. And that's why we're here, is to really, help you guys get through and, kind of give you the skills and tools so that we can adjust and fix those elements of our family that maybe we need to work on. Let's change it up a little bit and talk about, your living situation and where you're at. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe your neighborhood? Is there anything that's difficult for you to navigate?
I have no problems. I don't know.
No? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about school, and how that relates to the children. Joy, how are you doing in school?
I think I'm doing really good at school.
Okay.
I do my work.
Okay. And is there any difficulties or anything that you might need help with?
No, I think I have everything.
Okay. And what about for you, Gabe?
School's pretty good. Sometimes there's like harder subjects and I stay after school to get help with it, but overall it's really good.
Okay. You mentioned that you're very connected with your culture, Joy, or maybe Wyona, this is a better topic for you. Is that an element of your culture available for Joy at her school?
No, it's not. Since I got married, we relocated, and so she goes to a school where there's not much of a culture,
Okay.
or not many of the same friends that she had.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you guys have moved and lost a lot of the childhood connections along with losing your cultural connection. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, Joy, how important would you say culture is to you? A 10? Okay, that's definitely something to take into consideration. What is your mechanism for coping with problems or issues that arrive at the house?
What do you mean by that?
Well, in a crisis type of situation, sometimes we tend to have a way of behaving after this happens. So for example, Mr. Johnson, let's say if Gabe were to do something, I don't know, maybe break something in the house, what would be your coping mechanism for his behavior? How would you handle that situation?
Well, first Gabe needs to learn his lessons, so probably we go do some kind of discipline with him.
Okay. And Winona, do you share the same coping mechanisms as Mr. Johnson?
Well, Mr. Johnson is the head of the house, so he's in charge of all the disciplinary.
He's the disciplinarian?
Yes.
Okay. Have you guys ever heard of a Echo Map before? I think that's a tool that maybe would be really valuable in assessing the needs of this family and kind of understanding the dynamics, since Gabe kind of brought up, and as well as you, Mr. Johnson, that we're feeling disconnected. Do you know what an Echo Map is?
No idea.
No.
So an Echo Map is where you put yourself, so you could draw yourself as a circle, and we would put your family name down here. And then you would put a list of everything that is connected to your family. For example, I remember from the first session, you mentioned church. So that would be something that goes
Okay.
right here. And then we have school, that is also something. So any people, you have some work that you're related to as far as relationship wise. And then you kind of decide what that relationship is. So we put all the family members on the outside, and then Winona, Mr. Johnson, Gabe, we put all the children's names down, and we would draw lines to see how connected we are to them and how connected our environment is. Is this something that you think would help your family and that you would be interested in doing?
Sure.
Sure. I would love to assign that maybe as a homework assignment for you guys to take home. And again, it would be something that you could do individualistically, or you could sit down and work on it together as a family, however you choose to decide. And then, this assessment process is going to take a couple of time, sessions to get through. But again, this is a good start where we've come from. I'd like to hear a little bit before we close out about some of your strengths, though. Mr. Johnson, can you tell me some of yours?
I'm honestly a hard worker. I think I got good leadership skills, and I think I think nothing really kind of gets me down. I think I'm a strong man. So yeah.
Okay. Winona, what are some of your strengths?
I'm a good provider for my children.
Okay.
I'm a hard worker. I love to sing, love to dance, but I don't do that much.
Winona, when you said that, your face just kind of lit up for a moment. It seems like that's something very special to you.
Yes.
Can you tell me maybe why that is?
It brings me so much joy. It brings me so much joy. That's all I can say.
Okay. And Joy, what are some of your strengths?
I think I'm very reliable.
Reliable? Okay.
I think I'm also very independent.
And independent? Okay. Those are very good qualities to have. And Gabe, what are some qualities that you possess?
I think that I'm really hardworking, and that I take direction really well, and I think that an overall strength is like the closeness to my siblings and how dependable we are for each other.
Thank you for sharing that with me. So now that we've discussed strengths, we mentioned maybe the interconnectedness between family members and maybe feeling safe at home, and as far as Mr. Johnson not being as tired and maybe on edge. But are there any other areas that you think that your family might need help with?
The disciplinary part. I think my husband can ease down a little bit on the way he disciplines my children.
Okay. And how do you feel about being the disciplinary? Do you feel like all that responsibility is your obligation because you're head of the household, or is it, how do you feel about that?
If I'm the only one willing to do it, so it all comes onto me. Like my wife doesn't try to help discipline the kids, so like that responsibility just falls onto me.
Okay, so maybe we can set a goal of, roles and how they develop and how they are dispersed between you two as a couple and as parents for the children. Okay, Joy, what about you? Is there any needs or anything that you feel like we could be providing for you?
I think we need more communication.
Communication as well? Okay, and Dave
I would say communication.
as well?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those, and we'll continue this assessment again next week. And I appreciate again your time coming in here and being open with me and very receptive This is very good work that we put in today, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.